Hello and welcome to Illuminations with Tina and Fee, for you who desires a life of abundance. My name is Tina.
And I'm Fee.
My name is... was a little bit of a staccato. Anyway, I'm going off on one, Fee. Why am I going off on one now?
You showed up quite a lot in the last episode. Maybe there's a little bit of vulnerability hangover kicking in.
It could be. It could be. Anyway, the lies we tell ourselves, and I'm happy to say, Fee, that today you are center stage. And what lies have you been telling yourself?
Oh gosh, I've been telling myself lots of lies. I think the one that really probably had a big shift, a poignant, significant shift for me was moving away from, for me, the lie that I was born with original sin. So I was brought up a Catholic, and that's very much part of the Catholic teaching. And I kind of hadn't realised it's what I've walked around on this planet with for how many 40 years. And I went on a retreat up to Derbyshire with David James Lees, which I would highly recommend. And he's a monk, a Taoist monk, and introduced us to Taoist philosophy. And I was very taken and challenged with the fact that actually I was born divine. And this blew my mind. Divine. I was born beautiful. I was born, amazing. And I was like, what? And he got us to think about a little baby. And of course, if you look at a little baby, they are, they're beautiful, and they are divine, and they are without any sin, without, they're just beautiful little people. And that was such an eye-opener. And so gradually what I've been letting go of is that lie that I walk around, because I think it also supports that need then to maybe sabotage life when it gets really good. Because what does being with original sin mean? It means that, and this is interesting. I mean, I may be saying this and there'll be people out there going, that's not what it means. But I've been brought up Catholic. I went to catechism. I learned it all. And this is me in my world of translation, is what does that mean as I walk around if I have this original sin in me, which is obviously around Adam and Eve and blah, 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 and well, that means I start with a step in scarcity. So it would, of course, then I can live a life where it's constantly coming from scarcity. So the universe was fantastic in helping me move forward from this. And you're stuck slightly. Are you okay there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
You've gone slightly red, but you're stuck. Oh, and you're back. Let's see if that will keep going. And the universe brought some real gifts for me. And we did very early on in our illuminations, we explored a particular, piece of prose that I found very touching. And now you can see in the light of putting together the jigsaw why. So I'm going to read it, just, the top bit. So our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. And we ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? And who are you not to be? You are a child of God, higher self, deity. Oh my gosh, and you can see why I read that. It was on my wall for years because it was such a different message. And so gradually I've been coming into the truth, and we did some work together last year, and I've come into the truth that I am love and I am divine, and it's just the lies that I tell myself, mainly ego and separateness, that take me out of that place of coming back to my divinity.
Hmm.
Yeah. And it also has influenced, of course, then how I view the other people. Right. So, yeah.
It is a rather heavy burden to carry from when you're born, that for some reason you ain't done nothing, but by God, you have original sin. I'm not brought up Catholic, you know, Protestant more. But I do think that even if we don't carry that as heavily as those who have a Catholic upbringing, it trickles down somehow. You know, I don't remember going to church when I was little as a joyful experience. You know, it wasn't that you kind of went there and went, I feel so good now. You know, I feel part of God or whatever. It was more like, yes, oh, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think? Like in obviously this is kind of like generalizing it now to many people, or maybe take it to yourself, whichever you choose. Like, what's the impact, like, on practicalities day to day, carrying that, like, I am born with original sin?
Well, I think what that means is you're constantly. I think about heaven and hell, which are concepts that were very much part of my belief system and understanding, and so you're constantly trying to get away from going to hell. You know, if you'll do that, you'll go to hell. So you've got one foot in there in some ways, I suppose. But it's like there's part of you that is not okay, isn't it? So therefore you're living with part of you that's not okay, it's broken. And actually we know that wholeness comes from acceptance of all of ourselves. So every day, I suppose, put together with my Be Perfect driver, yeah, I can, cleaning skirting boards with toothbrushes, that kind of carry on. You know, what's it? A cleanliness is God's. You know, there's some stuff coming through here now, and also the devil make works for idle hands. So you can see my work hard driver now. So those two in particular, you know, quite influencing me working myself to death and making sure if everything was clean and perfect that, you know, then I'll be all right. So actually, I've never thought about putting those two together, but that does make sense.
That makes total sense. Yeah, it's powerful. So for you,
Yeah.
the turning point was going to spend time with David Lee James, and that you are born
David
divine.
James Lee's.
David James Lee,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yes, that's all right.
And then, of course, you've continued that journey towards living that from a place of divinity instead of place of sin, I'm guessing. What would you say?
Yeah, definitely. You know,
Sorry, we've got a bit of a delay. What
you're
would you say
breaking up a little bit, Tina.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So what would you say to others who might kind of resonate with, like, yeah, I kind of lived that original sin? What would you say to them? Like, okay, read this or do this, or you know.
Well, I do think writing our book was very influential in because that's about abundance. So I'm running workshops with the book. That certainly has been part of me letting go of the lie. I think also coming into, I think, the belief I'm doing the best. There's no better I can do. You know, this is it. This is how I am. This is me. Doesn't mean I go around being mean and unkind. You know, it's about, you know, calming that scarcity, that if I do this, then it'll all be okay. Then, you know, I'll be saved. I think the consciousness, awareness, a bit like you, around that was the start. You know, it was being curious about that and the impact, you know, even now being curious about how it sits with my drivers, and just being curious has definitely helped, and let off the judgment, you know, definitely the self-judgment.
Okay, so
because that just buys into the original sin,
of course,
you know.
of course,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, we're out of time. Is there anything else you want to say about
No.
this before we wrap up?
Well, I suppose, you know, this is my journey. There will be people out there and they will have their own philosophies and beliefs, and that's fine. You know, my position of love and acceptance is that's cool as well.
Yeah, and we're sharing our journeys and how it's been for us. And that's kind of all we can do from out of what our experiences and our knowledge and so forth. So thank you so much.
So I'll just say that the more I've let go of the lie, so let's put it on the twist of the gain, I'm living more in inner peace, as I've often shared, and I'm definitely out of judgment more of others, and I'm definitely out of, I have real moments of a lot of joy, you know, in every day.
And that is some gain, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some gain. But thank you so much for sharing that so openly and honestly. Really appreciate that. So thank you to you who's been watching or listening to these musings, our journeys today, Fee's journey. We'll be back with top tips, and I hope you'll be back for that one, and we'll see ya. Bye now.